And welcome back to day 3 and final day of Compalooza. I'm, as always, Bobby Behar. With me is
Jason Elliott.
And we have a special guest, Joel Adams. Joel, how you doing?
I'm doing great. How are you?
Good. So how's the con treating you?
This con has been treating me amazingly. It's the King of the Hill fans have really kind of turned out, so it's been a real amazing time at the booth.
Well, I think I speak for Jason and I. We both grew up on King of the Hill.
Yeah, Beavis and Butthead before that. So how did you come to the attention of Mike Judge?
I don't know that it came to his attention. I came to the attention of Film Rome and the people who animated the show. I had just come off a show. I did The Incredible Hulk before that, and they were looking for a new character designer, and I kind of fit what they were looking for. I was good and I was fast, and they were already in production on stuff that needed to be reworked and put through. So they brought me in.
Oh, and he and I grew up both on the Hulk animated series and Bucky O'Hare.
Okay.
I mean, and Bucky O'Hare was like really short-lived.
Bucky O'Hare was very short-lived. It was a toy line thing. It was something got screwed up with the toy line, and when a toy line dies, the shows that are associated with it die.
You know, that's so true, and because we were just talking about, the Thundercats and the He-Man reboots that they did, back in 2002 with He-Man, and then, in I'd say 2011 with the Thundercats. I mean, they both died. Great animated series, but it kind of depended, all hinged on the toy line.
All hinged on the toy line, yeah. There were a lot of great shows out there that had toy lines with them. That when the toy lines didn't go, the show stopped, and it's like, wait, I'd still watch that show.
Well, now, speaking of animated, like with toy lines and non-toy lines, King of the Hill lasted what, 8, 10, 13
years.
Without a toy line. What is it about King of the Hill that kept it just going for so long?
King of the Hill is really one of the best written animated shows ever. Greg Daniels, his team of writer, Mike Judge. It was just really a brilliant project. Didn't have to be animated. It could have been live action. It was a prime time. It wasn't aimed at children. So I think there too you didn't really need a toy line for it.
Sure.
But I think most of King of the Hill, as much as I'd love to take credit art-wise on stuff, we had an incredible art department. Everybody involved with it was really talented people, but it was the writing on that show. It was, like I said, the best written American animated show ever.
So I was laughing because I had Dale in my head, just rambling on. When you did these like character designs, how did you come up with like Dale and Boomhauer and the rest of the cast?
Well, with the main families, the main characters, it was a lot of committee and a lot of notes from Mike Judge. Mike Judge had done some of the initial sketches for the characters, so it was all built off of that. When it came to later characters that would come along, we would get a script and we would listen in on the table reads. And between those, I would put together a picture in my head of what a character would look like. Let's say Jimmy Witchard was a character. He ran the concession stand at the racetrack. I heard the voice that they were doing, and in the meeting, I had my sketch pad there, and I sat there sketching this character, the peanut-shaped head with little eyes that were too close together and this lower lip that would stick out. And to me, that was Jimmy Witchard, and I shot my sketchbook across the table to the director. He took a look at it, signed it, and Jimmy Witchard was designed right there. So that's kind of where the inspiration for characters have come from.
Do you have, out of the 13 years, there are, a ton of episodes. Is there one that sticks out in your head that's the one you love the most, or?
There were episodes that to me were just brilliant and funny on many levels. For me, as a kid who grew up as a heavy kid, I went through the Husky Kid stage. So there's the Husky Bobby episode. But then there's another episode where Bobby is learning to deal with girls, and he's practicing on Luann's mannequin head.
Oh yeah,
and when we worked on that episode, I was dying every time I would open up the script to see what we were doing. It was hysterical. That's why I say that show is just so well written. It made us laugh. We would get excited whenever a new script would come in.
So I see that you're quite the wrestling fan. You have Paige, AJ Lee, and Lita. I mean, did you go to WrestleMania this year?
I did not go to WrestleMania. I've never been to a wrestling event. I've been to a wrestling event, but it was Glow.
Oh
wow! Long time ago.
You went to Glow.
I went to a Glow match a long time ago.
Have you watched the series on Netflix?
The Netflix series, I saw the first season. Yeah.
Cool.
Now, I hate to stay on King of the Hill, but I just love the show so much because from Texas, you're like, oh, I know that person. Was there ever an episode, like for me, the finale, when you see what Boomhauer finally does, and he's a ranger, or a U.S. Marshal? Is he a marshal or is he a ranger? he was a marshal. He was a marshal. Was there ever a time you got a script that you're like, really? Like it was kind of shocked you?
No, the Boomhauer thing was a shock to me, and I wasn't there when I wasn't working on the show when they did that. When I finally got to see it on the air, that kind of surprised me. But I think everybody was just like I said, it was well written. All the characters fell, and maybe in those first 3 years when I worked on it, they stayed a lot in character. Mm-hmm. So they didn't really surprise me.
Jay, I'll let you take the next question.
All right, I guess share some, if you can, share some stories from the Hulk animated series. I mean,
True.
I know Neil McDonough, who's on, The Flash and Arrow and everything. He was on there. He played Bruce Banner. I mean, yeah, Neil McDonough was Bruce Banner. Yeah, you had Ferrigno as the Hulk. I mean, was there anything, I guess, like that really stood out to you? Because it lasted 2 seasons?
2 seasons
on UPN.
I did the first season.
Okay.
Things that stand out was one. It was my very first animated show. I'm not a trained animator.
Oh.
I came up as a comic book guy. I did licensing art, commercial storyboards. I've been doing licensing art, and I got a call. Someone was looking for someone who knew anatomy really well for a project. So I tried out for it. Turned out to be an Incredible Hulk animated series. They liked me. I liked them. And they took me on, and really happy with me. They were kind of surprised in my portfolio when I came in, and it was a lot of it was fun doing the comic because I wanted to be a comic book artist, and I was too slow. I couldn't turn pages out fast enough to really make a living at it. But then my first project in animation was a comic book property, so I got to draw the Hulk. so that was great, and I think I'm the first guy to do designs for She-Hulk in animation.
Really?
That's true.
We had the She-Hulk in that season.
Yeah, because I don't think that the She-Hulk really appeared in the Marvel stuff from the 80s.
No, I think we were the first ones to do the She-Hulk.
Yeah, that's true. And what's her name? Billy Zane's sister, Lisa Zane, voiced her in the first season. Cree Summer, Susie Carmichael did her in the second season.
Now, is there anyone that you wish you could have done like the animated, or wish you could maybe do an animated series on? Is there anyone that you like that'd be like my holy grail?
I mean, there are a lot. You mean for me to actually design something for? I would love to take a stab at shows like the X-Men. I mean, I love the boys' adventure properties. And I really am sad we don't see a lot of it anymore today. We're seeing too many shows I don't want to say too many shows. We're seeing a lot of Gumball and these strange kid shows that are 10-minute episodes and are written like kids are stupid.
Right.
I miss the older days where we were writing when we did comic book shows, they had comic book stories. I mean, they were telling stories, took a half hour to tell a story. And I miss that stuff, and I would love to kind of do that stuff. I'm not that excited with what they're doing over now that Disney has the Marvel properties. I'm not that thrilled with what they're doing there, but I always keep my eyes peeled for something like that. I'd love to just find a really good boys' adventure property.
Well, you bring that up. What was it? I was always told Avengers: Mightiest Heroes, that cartoon was brilliantly written.
It was,
but it's the fact that it wasn't 10-minute episodes. It actually told multiple arc stories, and it failed.
Yeah, well, I think people think of our kids today as being the YouTube generation, and they only have 5 to 10 minute attention spans, and they're not creating for more than that. So,
I think you may want to give some of the Disney, Marvel stuff a chance. I mean, because Spider-Man, the new Spider-Man show that they have now, it's great. I mean, even the one before that, Ultimate Spider-Man, was awesome. Right. Spectacular Spider-Man. It seems like Greg, the guy who created Gargoyles, he can never catch a break because that only lasted maybe 1 or 2 seasons.
Right.
Then, he had Gargoyles, which only lasted 1 season. So it seems that he just cannot catch a break. And I mean, like I said, I've liked all their stuff, but you are right. We need to bring Saturday morning cartoons back.
Yes.
Where all the networks were playing them, and then, they just disappeared in 2012?
Yeah. I mean, I think there's a lot of this fear over, the reason kids can't watch Bugs Bunny today.
Oh, yeah.
And they can't watch some of the superhero shows because some people thought they were violent. They thought, my generation grew up with Bugs Bunny. My generation grew up with Elmer Fudd putting a gun in Daffy Duck's face and pulling the trigger.
Yeah.
My generation didn't, we didn't hear stories about schools being shot up and stuff like that. Maybe, and I don't want to point a finger at anything. There are video games are violent. There's certain movies are violent, but
they have a rating system. That's what it was installed for.
And they have a rating system, and I don't. I don't think that anybody looked at Bugs Bunny and thought they could stick a gun in somebody's face and shoot somebody.
Well,
you know.
And it's sad that every other country you can do that still.
Yeah.
And for some reason,
with the anime.
No, it's sad because I think that we're missing something. I mean, I think story-wise, like I said, we're treating children like they're stupid.
Yeah.
And animation-wise, I think we're losing something too with everything going digital. I think there's an art to that
hand-drawn
traditional animators. Like I had friends that were Disney animators. One of my best friends was a top Disney guy. He worked on Pocahontas, Little Mermaid, stuff like that. And there is a nuance, there's a subtlety in what they were doing when they would hand draw stuff to make stuff look natural. That in 3D now we're doing with people in motion capture suits, and it's just we're losing that subtlety, we're losing the nuances to movements that might seem more real but don't feel as nice as the animation. And I think there's an art form that's getting lost.
Best example for me, 101 Dalmatians. You can see the pencil lines when Cruella de Vil is driving, and I love that you can see the pencil. It's amazing.
And it's that way, in other animated series. And going back to what you were saying, like when people think that kids are going to imitate, Herbie the Robot was a replacement for the Human Torch because they thought kids would light themselves on fire.
Right. Yeah.
Oh, Herbie. All right, so I'll end on this one. Since you want to do comic books, if you had like one book and one writer to work with, what would you pick and who would you pick as your writer?
Writer is difficult. So there's a lot of great writers out there. I've always said that since my dad was the Batman guy, that if I were ever to do a mainstream comic book, I would have to do Nightwing.
Okay, that'd be perfect. Okay.
Right? That's the dad and the son thing.
Right.
So as far as writers go, I'd love to do something like, let's say, Frank Miller. Because I loved his stuff on Batman, or even I'd work with Neil. I mean, a lot of people maybe not like Neil's Odyssey and stuff like that, Batman Odyssey.
Yeah.
But Neil had great ideas for things to do with characters and coming up with villains, and he's the guy who made Batman the Dark Detective, and
I've got to interview your dad. I've got to interview Denny, and it's insane. Like hearing them talk about these characters, like. I want you back writing. I want you back drawing again.
Yeah, well, they changed Batman. They took him back from being the campy TV Batman.
Not even Batman, but like Batman, Green Lantern, Green Arrow. Like what they did. Denny when he did The Shadow, where he was very much the detective writer. It's just I think you're.
Yeah, I want to see them back together again, doing stuff. I mean, they're still doing stuff. He's been doing Batman again. He just recently finished the Dead Man series, Dead Man Run. He's about to do Batman again.
Okay.
So, it'd be nice to see another Denny O'Neil team up, just to get one more shot of the two of those together.
That'd be great.
Yeah.
That'd be great. Well, Jason, do you have anything, man?
No, I don't have anything. I mean, it was a pleasure talking to you.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.